Good morning, it's a solo Saturday in Scotland. The fuck was that accent? Solo Saturday in Scotland. Coming up, Josh is down in London for the weekend and I've got a solo weekend. So you're going to come along with me. It's a solo weekend dieting edition. So I am near enough 4 weeks into my 8-week diet and 2 kg down, which I am really, really happy with considering what January looked like. Right now, we're just getting ready for the day. I've just taken some updated progress pictures, which I'll bang in here. So yeah, 2 kg down since the 6th of January, so just shy of a month. And February is currently looking a little bit quieter than January has been, so hopefully we can get that again, and then some. Have some breakfast before I head out to a coffee shop that I've been wanting to try literally since we moved up here, called Santu Coffee Roastery. And it's about a 40-minute walk from my flat. So I'm going to kill 2 birds with 1 stone, well, kill 3 birds with 1 stone, get some fresh air, get a good chunk of my steps in for the day because it's a rest day. And I know for a fact that I will, if I don't get a good chunk of my steps in earlier in the day, they're not going to happen later in the day on the weekend. I don't have that kind of motivation. So I'm going to get a good chunk of my steps in, get some fresh air, get a really nice weekend coffee. Coffee on a weekend just tastes different, I think. And I'm also going to, hopefully, if they have seating, which I think they do, camp up and write the second email, or finish writing the second email in my January review email series, which I'll leave a link to down below if you want to get it. But basically it's 4 emails where I'm going into a lot more detail and depth about my training in January, my nutrition, my mindset, and my lifestyle habits in January, doing a bit of review of those 4 elements and talking about, what went well, what went wrong, and just going into more detail about what adjustments I'm going to make in February off the back of that kind of review. Yeah, if you want to, I'll be going over those to an extent in this video, but if you want a much more detailed, in-depth review about those elements of my diet so far in January, then use the link in the description box to sign up to my January review email series. Right, I'm going to stop blabbering on. I'm going to stick Gilmore Girls back on as my getting ready background of choice. I can't get ready in silence. It's physically impossible. I have to have something like music playing or a YouTube video or Netflix or something very, very easygoing in the background to listen to, especially when I'm at home on my own. Right, I need to stop talking. I'm gonna go get ready now. Dressed, ready for the day. Also, skin update, not good. Really, really, really not good. Definitely not the worst it's been, but not far off. This bad boy, I've put so much concealer on it, I can't even explain to you, but it is a really intense under the skin kind of cyst type spot. Dear God, it's itchy as hell. It's so big. It's so overbearing on my face. I definitely shouldn't have pointed it out to you in this video because now you're just gonna, your attention's just gonna be on that spot for the rest of the video. But in the spirit of transparency, we're showing up. Not barefaced, couldn't do that today. I had to wait until I'd put makeup on before turning the camera on. Just confidence isn't quite there yet with the transparency, but we're getting there. But yeah, not great at the moment. Just doing all I can do, to be honest. I have got an appointment booked in with the GP to see if there's anything I can do medically to move things forwards. Not Roaccutane. I'm not looking to that extremity just quite yet. I don't think it's bad enough for Roaccutane. Oh my God, for Roaccutane at the moment, but there are a couple of other slightly softer topical treatments that you can get access to via the GP for skin and acne issues. So I'm going to investigate that path a little bit more and see what's available, and see what my GP recommends or suggests. But yeah, not great, but I'm showing up regardless because that was one of my New Year's resolutions and I'm sticking to it like glue. Skin update over. Let's have some breakfast and then head out for a walk whilst it's not raining. Hopefully it continues to be so. It is looking very grey and very cloudy and very ominous, but hopefully it holds off long enough to get a bit of a walk in. I'm going to give you 3 guesses what my breakfast is. Did you get it? Yogurt bowl. It will come as absolutely no surprise to you if you've spent more than 10 minutes on my channel that this is literally my staple breakfast that I will have 95% of the year. When I don't have it, it's because it is a very special occasion. Whether I'm dieting or not, quantities change, but the basics don't. And you're dieting on a weekend as well, because weekends are generally the moment where diet goes to shit for most people. They see Monday to Friday is the time to be good, and then Saturday, Sunday is the time to say, right, I've been really good all week. Now I'm gonna act like a douche for the weekend for 48 hours and just ruin all of the progress that I've made for the first 5 days of the week. So if that is you in a diet, keep as many meals at the weekend as similar to the week as possible, so that you see the fluidity from week to weekend. You don't feel like but just because it's the weekend, you're having to make everything new and exciting and special and weekendified, because in doing so, you're probably gonna eat meals that are nowhere near as satiating as the stuff that you have during the week, which means that you're gonna eat more across the day because you're gonna be hungrier and less satisfied, and you're gonna get halfway through the day and think, well, I've already had all my calories for the day, so I may as well fuck the diet off and go and have 2 takeaways, 4 cocktails, and a big greasy fry up tomorrow. For weekend dieting, especially successful weekend dieting, keep as many meals as possible similar or the same as what you'd eat during the week.
Okay, so a couple of things I do on a weekend to help with fat loss is, like I said, get as many steps in earlier in the day as I can, because I know myself and I know that once it gets to kind of like 3-4 p.m. on a weekend and I have no reason to leave the flat at that point, if I don't have plans in the evening or anything like that, then I will not get a long walk in at that time of day, especially in winter. So I know that I have to, if I'm going to get my steps in, I have to prioritize getting them in early. And I always wake up super early anyway, so I like getting stuff done in the mornings and making the most of the time in the morning. So I'm getting out it's going to be about a 40 to 45 minute walk to head to this coffee shop and do a little bit of laptop work, hopefully, if they let me sit in with my laptop. And that should get a good sort of 7k steps in, I reckon. 7k, including the steps that I've sort of racked up from potting around the house this morning. And then that just leaves like a 20-minute or so walk that I have to fit in later in the day, which should be fine. Or I'll jump on my walking pad. I've had my breakfast before I've left the house, A, so that I don't get absolutely ravenous on this walk, and B, so that I'm not quite as tempted to get a pastry at the coffee shop later, which, if I wasn't dieting, I probably would do. But I'm still sticking to 1 high-calorie day a week, which is the approach that I really enjoy using when I'm dieting, is 6 slightly lower calorie days, 1 slightly higher calorie day. And then I'm going to use those higher calories this evening for a slightly more elaborate dinner. So as nice as it will be to have a pastry this weekend, I'm going to prioritise my calories elsewhere. The pastries are always going to be there. Pastries aren't going extinct in the next 24 hours. So it's not that I will never have a pastry again. I'm just saying no to it right now because I've got goals that take priority over it. So I'm going to go grab a coffee. So yeah, the reason I went on that fucking mumble was I had breakfast before I left so that I wasn't going to be quite as tempted to get a pastry later. I wasn't going to be hungry enough for my willpower to give in. But I'm going to grab a coffee, have some laptop time, and then head to the shop to grab some bits that I need for dinner later and go from there. No matter where you go in Edinburgh, everywhere is just so beautiful. I'm not used to it yet. Well, I've been here for a year in May, which is ridiculous to think about. And I've been coming here my whole life. But I think the older I get and the longer I live here, the more I realise and appreciate and acknowledge how beautiful the city is. Very lucky to live here. And if you've never come to Edinburgh, if you've never visited, you need to. Because it is the best city in the UK. Maybe the world. But I am biased. But it might be. That's Carlton Hill. Coffee is unbelievable. That is the best tasting coffee I've had in a long time. I'm very impressed. I just love how focused this city is in terms of exercise and movement. I've been sat in this cafe for about 40 minutes and I have completely lost count of the amount of runners who have come in to get a post-run coffee. Like, you know, the fact that it's 11 a.m. on a Saturday and there are so many people out and about, moving their bodies, training, exercising, getting the endorphins flowing for the weekend. It's so motivating. I love people watching. I love just sitting in the corner of a cafe and people watching and seeing how people are spending their Saturday mornings, who they're spending it with. My AirPod also just dropped down my boobs. Near enough 10,000 steps done. Not even midday. I feel quite smug, to be completely honest with you, my friends. I feel quite smug and also quite very hungry. So I'm gonna have a bang on midday lunch. I made some chicken for my dinner last night. And again, with the background laundry. One day I will do a YouTube video where I don't have laundry hanging in the background. But today is not that day. So yesterday I cooked some chicken for my dinner and I doubled up on portion. So I've got that to eat for my lunch this afternoon, along with a bit of a guilty pleasure of mine. It's not really guilty, but it's just a pleasure. The Itsu noodles and broth katsu curry noodle pot. I have this with a chicken breast and then whatever veg I've got in the fridge. It's a really good, very easy lunch. Not the best, you know, ingredients are fine, but there's a lot of them. Although to be fair, actually looking at what the ingredients are, you've got the rice noodles and then literally everything else that's in the broth is very single ingredient. You got, you know, coriander, cumin, like loads of spices, nutmeg, yeast extract. Yeah, actually really decent in terms of ingredients. None of your nasty shit in there. I'm actually very impressed with that. And yeah, for the pot, it's 190 calories with a chicken breast, with some veg. Very nice, hearty, warming lunch. So I'm gonna have that. And then, don't know what I'm gonna do next. The world is my oyster. Although I say that and I'm almost definitely not going back outside today. It's very cold. I've done a big old stint of outdoor time, so I've very much earned an afternoon of sofa slobbing, if that's what I want to do, and it sounds really fucking good, to be fair, so that's probably what I'm going to end up doing. But let's have lunch first. I am having quite literally the most wholesome afternoon. You could not get more wholesome than this. I dare you to try and find a more wholesome way to spend a Saturday afternoon, and you won't be able to find it. I have a cross stitch of a Highland cow that I am very slowly but surely making my way through. I have a Pepsi Max. I have Gilmore Girls on the TV. I'm in my cozy jumper. It's grey outside, not quite rainy, but grey. I'm waiting for my dad to give me a call and have a catch up with him. And then I'm going to give one of my best friends a call and have a catch up with her. I've hit the fucking jackpot, mate. Some may say sad. Some may say wholesome. Some may say best day ever. I am in the latter two camps today.
Tell you what, I should listen to Kath more often, because she told me that she puts a shot of coffee in her protein shake in the morning. And I thought, I only have protein shakes in the afternoon normally. Just put a decaf shot of espresso in this. Oh my god, it's so good. So simple, but so good. Honestly, blend your protein powder with water, a little bit of milk, loads of ice, and a decaf shot of espresso. It's a glorious day. If you are a snacking fiend over the weekends, or you find yourself sort of just grazing through the day at the weekends because you're kind of hungry and you don't have the stimulus of work to keep you distracted, or you don't have anything sort of too stimulating to focus on, and you just tend to find yourself gravitating towards food, focus on your protein intake. It sounds really overly simplistic, and I know that every coach and his son and his dog and his grandma yabbers on about fucking protein intake, but honestly, especially at the weekend, if you do struggle with hunger, focus on your protein intake. Makes the world of difference. Okay, time to do something that's slightly more of a valuable use of my time than just cross-stitching and Gilmore Girlsing, although it was very hard to tear myself away from that. I'm going to do some revision for my nutritionist qualification. I bloody love flashcards. I've got quite a not photographic memory, but I learn quite visually with, words that stand out on cards, not too much information in one space, something I can look at and kind of remember. So I love a good flashcard. And what I'm doing at the moment is having a set of my flashcards on my desk next to me in my office, and every day I'll just flip onto the next flashcard. So every day I'm sort of taking in whatever's on that flashcard, next day taking in the next one, blah blah blah, and hopefully some of that information is starting to settle in my brain. So now I'm going to make some notes on mastering the basics of the digestive and endocrine systems. I can never say that word, endocrine systems. Romanticize your life by having a trip and putting it in a gin glass. Basically like having a solo date night. Okay, I won't lie to you, I have chosen the darkest spot in the room to film this section because I've just taken my makeup off and my skin is really bad. I'm like using my hand to cover my face because I feel so self-conscious right now. So I think I'm probably not going to film much more this evening because I just don't want to be in front of the camera, which is really sad. It's really sad that I am letting my skin get in the way tonight, but that's just how it is. But I've got some sweet and sour chicken, homemade sweet and sour chicken in the oven, like a little fake away situation. Because in Accelerate this week, we've got a fake away challenge in the group. So I'm going to get involved in that and have some sweet and sour chicken, fake away situation, and some sort of packet microwave rice. And then I'm just going to sit and watch a film, have my trip, and I'll see you tomorrow. Okay, it's a better day today. Skin is still very much not playing ball and very unhappy, but we live and we learn, move on, get on with it. We do whatever we need to do today to not let it affect the mood. Okay? Because I'm not gonna let it take up any more of my energy or any more of my emotions that are much better suited elsewhere. So, plan for today is definitely shouldn't have sat down. I have just done a big, deep clean of the entire flat. I feel very good for it because it is only just gone 8:15. So I've had a very productive morning. I woke up about 6, I think, about 5:30, 6, and I watched an episode of Gilmore Girls in bed with a coffee before I started my day because we're like, you know what? No, it's Sunday. You don't have to just get straight up and out of bed and on with the day. You can chill. You are allowed to relax every now and again. It's not the end of the world if you don't make the most of every single second of every single day. So that's the attitude I led with this morning. And then about 45 minutes went by and I was like, right, now I need to be productive. So I'm meeting a client and a friendly client, a cliently friend at the sports centre over in Meadowbank over on the other side of the city to do a high rocks training session, kind of together, kind of me coaching her through the session because she has got her high rocks solo in March. We're just going to go over a few technique bits and pieces, and then we're going to do a conditioning session. I'm now going to go for a walk to grab a coffee so that I get a little bit of fresh air before I leave later, because then I'm going to come home and ring some family, have a little FaceTime with my gorgeous niece, who is so scrumptious I could eat her up. I have some breakfast when I'm home. So I'm going to get out for a little bit of fresh air, reward myself for my outdoor excursion by getting a coffee on the way and get some steps in. Because although I've just done a huge, big, deep clean of the flat, I've only stacked up 1,000 steps. And I don't know about you, but when I clean, I always think, fuck me, I must have got so much movement in just then. That was a workout in itself. And then it's like, you've done 900 steps. And I'm like, fuck you. I need to leave the house. I feel like I've got cabin fever.
I wish I could say it was a conscious decision to not bring my AirPods out with me, so I couldn't listen to music or podcasts or anything, and I just had to walk with my thoughts. But it was not a conscious decision. Okay, we can do this. My thoughts aren't that bad, are they? Okay, whilst I'm out and about, let's talk about the motivation dip that generally comes in and around that 4 to 6 week mark whenever you are pursuing a pretty significant goal that's taking up a lot of your energy and headspace and motivation. So something like a fat loss phase, for example. Around that 4 to 6 week mark after you've started the diet and you've been ticking the boxes pretty religiously up to this point, there comes a point around that 4 to 6 week mark where motivation just dives off a cliff. It just runs out of existence and you start feeling this almost wall of resentment and resistance towards continuing to tick the boxes. Progress, the amount of progress that you can make in the space of 4 to 6 weeks isn't, substantial enough to think, oh my god, I've made like huge strides forward. I'm doing amazing. Let's keep going. It's not quite, the progress probably isn't quite enough at this point to become the motivation. So around the 4 to 6 week mark, generally most people will see a big dip in motivation, in energy, in momentum. And this is kind of the part where people tend to trail off. In our 8-week group coaching fat loss program, this 4-5 week mark is generally the time that we start seeing the people who aren't fully invested lose focus, stop checking in on time, stop updating their trackers, that sort of thing. And it's totally normal, it's totally common. I'm going through at the moment a little bit of that resentment of, I've been working really hard for 4 weeks, I've been putting my goals first, I've been tracking religiously, I'm getting a bit bored, it's all getting a bit monotonous and a bit boring. And this is the make or break moment for most people where fat loss is concerned. They'll either force themselves through this dip, continue ticking the boxes despite the fact that they couldn't think of anything worse than going out and getting steps in at 9 o'clock at night because they've got loads left to hit, tracking their food even though they can't be asked to get the weighing scales out, all of that sort of stuff. This is the make or break moment. If you continue ticking those boxes through this dip, you'll eventually get to a place where motivation starts to pick back up again because you've just proven yourself capable of another section of the goal you didn't even realise was part of that whole picture, which is getting through the dip, because that's the bit that you've actually always struggled with the most. You've not necessarily struggled with the dieting part, you've struggled with the perseverance through that dip in motivation. So if you are, if you have started a diet in January and you're 4 weeks in and you're starting to feel your motivation waver, this is the time where you say, right, This is always the moment I generally give up. This time that's not going to be the case. I'm going to keep putting in the work, I'm going to keep ticking the boxes, I'm going to keep putting one foot in front of the other until I get through this motivation lull and things start picking back up again, because they will. You're not going to feel unmotivated for the rest of your life from this point onwards. You're going to feel unmotivated for a week, 2 weeks, and then everything will pick back up again and things will start ramping up again, things will start picking up again, and it will start to feel easier again. It will feel easier to tick the boxes. It'll feel easier to show up every day, no matter how your energy levels are feeling or your mood is feeling. Get yourself through this lull, like I'll be doing today, tomorrow, probably the next day, and it's worth it, trust me, because if you've never got past this point before, now's the time to do so.
A few things I'm doing to avoid the dip or minimise the dip as much as possible in this coming week. Basically following the protocols that I follow every single week, but just ensuring I maintain my own standards. So making sure I've scheduled my week completely in advance, so I know exactly when I'm getting my gym sessions in, exactly when I'm getting my cardio in, exactly when I'm getting my steps in, on those days where it's otherwise really hard for me to get steps in, unless I like actively say, right, there's time there where you can do it, so go and bloody do it, woman. And then we've got a food shop being delivered later this afternoon, so I'm going to spend an hour, not even that, 40 minutes prepping some roasted chicken, some roasted veg. I'm going to create a salad, stick that in a box so it's like easily accessible and I can just bang a hunk of it onto the side of my plate. If I was really feeling like a real significant low in motivation, I would probably spend 20 minutes of my time today planning out my meals on MyFitnessPal in advance for the week as a whole, even if it's just a skeleton plan, and I adjust it as I go from one day to the next, giving myself that structure so that it's one less barrier to entry, one less opportunity for decision fatigue. That could also be something I implement as well. I don't feel like I'm quite at that point yet with the motivation dip, so I'm not going to, but that's something for you to consider if you are at that stage of like, literally can't think of anything worse than spending another day dieting, but equally I'm not happy with the results I've got so far, so I need to keep going. 6k steps done by not even 9:30, feeling very smug about that, and now I'm going to have some breakfast. Disaster has struck in this household. We have run out of Greek yogurt. I know, pause for dramatic effect. So instead, what I'm going to do is use this crusty looking banana and get some protein powder, get some milk, stick it all in a shake or a smoothie, and a hunk of toast on the side. That's going to be my breakfast today. Could have very easily grabbed a pastry when I got that coffee earlier. That pan of raisin was screaming my name, physically audible screaming going on in my ear sockets. But pastry doesn't fit into my calories for the day. And pastry isn't going to be anywhere near as satiating as a protein smoothie and a piece of toast. So unfortunately for this guy, thank you very much, pan of raisins weren't on the menu today. But I'm excited for breakfast nonetheless. Oh my god, that used to be my alarm sound on my iPhone at college, at uni. Oh, that brings PTSD. Oh, disgusting. Sorry if that's kind of sent a shiver down anybody else's spine watching this. Jesus Christ. Right, I'm going to fucking shut up, basically. That literally could not have been more perfect. I am Einstein. He is me. He is she, and she is me. I have been doing so much chilling, and it's been bloody lovely. And now it's time to go do some very anti-chilling with some high rocks. Woo!